I use she, her pronoun, and I am originally from Ethiopia. For fun, I like to nap. I'm an excellent napper. I like to read and cook, paint, and do a little bit of yoga. And I will pass it to Carly.
Hey everyone, my name is Carly Darcher. I'm the Director of Pre-Major Studies and Student Persistence. I use she, her pronouns. I am from the Northwest area. For those of you who may or may not be familiar with it, I'm from Burien, which is basically the airport. In fact, from my parents' yard, you can see the planes landing at SeaTac Airport. For fun, I like to garden. I like to walk my dogs. And I like to listen to true crime podcasts, of course. So that's me. We also have an academic advisor named Terry. She is not here today. She's feeling under the weather. She is originally from Cambodia. She lived in California for a little bit, and now she's up here in the South Seattle area in White Center. And she also uses she, her pronouns. And with that, I will turn it over to our wonderful office assistant.
Hi, I'm Juliana. I'm one of the office assistants for the pre-major team, and I use she, her pronouns. I'm from Southern California, and I'm going to be a third-year nursing major. And again, I'm one of the office assistants along with Jacob. During this meeting, I'll also be monitoring the chat for any questions or comments. And if you want to speak to any of the advisors, you can go ahead and private message me, and I'll put you in a breakout room at the end of the meeting. If you have any student-related questions, feel free to message me as well.
Thank you, Juliana. So the objective for our presentation today, we're hoping that you have fuller understanding of what pre-major studies program is, have clarity on the role of academic advisor, what we do, and how we can best support you. And lastly, we're hoping that you leave this presentation feeling more prepared to register for classes, specifically on how to add 4 classes. What is pre-major, you might be wondering? Pre-major is your current major until you declare into a major. Although it is not a major that students graduate with, so eventually you will have to select an area of interest offered by the university. And we find that students join pre-major for different reasons. We have students who are not sure what they want to pursue. And we have some students who join our program having some idea of what they want to do, but they want to explore their options before they declare. And then we have students who do have, who are pretty set on a specific major and are ready, but are working on finishing the prerequisite to certify into that major. So our students that we support are pretty diverse. For pre-major, some questions that we get for pre-majors, if we have a specific class, since it is a major that you are currently in until you declare, is if we have a specific class that students are required to complete, and we do not have an extra pre-major classes students have to complete, meaning that your schedule for fall and until you declare into an area of interest will look very much similar to students who have already declared into other majors. Which also means that pre-major students have the same graduation timeline as everyone else.
So building off of what Salam was talking about and what is pre-major, we also wanted to talk to you a little bit about pre-major advisors. Advising itself is different than, for those of you who might have worked with like your high school guidance counselor, advising is different from that. And then pre-major advising is different from regular advising. And the prime example of that is pre-major advising during the school year. We meet with you once a quarter for an hour. This group advising and group registration that you're going through right now is not typical of what it would be like for the rest of the year. Again, so you meet with us once a quarter and you meet with us for an hour. Each quarter, people that you know might be in other majors, other programs, they're meeting with their advisor for 20, maybe 30 minutes. But you're meeting with us for a whole 60 minutes. And part of why that is we really want to get to know you as a whole person. It's a very Jesuit concept. You're going to hear that quite a bit in the next few weeks. But if we get to know you outside of just the classroom, right? If we get to know you and help you reflect on your goals and your interests and how they tie into your classes, how they tie into internships, majors, and then eventually a career, if we get to know all of that and what makes you tick, then the resources that we can connect you with, the referrals that we give out for you, we can personalize those to make sure that they really are a good fit for you, and tailored to you specifically as a whole person. In addition to that, we also assist with issues you might have with your professor or classmates or roommates. We know from students that first time you go talk to your professor during their like student office hour can be pretty intimidating. And so we can help you draft up a list of questions to ask them. We've even kind of role played it out with students so that they feel a little less intimidated by it. And we've even been known to kind of go and help facilitate those meetings if a student really is super nervous about meeting with their professor. You shouldn't be. Professors are awesome. They want to meet with you, but we understand it can be a little bit nerve-wracking that first time. And then of course we help with, academic planning, course selection, and registration. But as you can see, we put that at the bottom of the list because, while that is part of the meeting we have with you, that's only part of it. We really do put a lot of work into preparing for the appointments that we're going to have with you. So that brings us to the next slide. This slide was what we do before meeting with you. And so then this slide here is what we expect you to do. So we prepare a lot for your advising appointment, and we expect you to put the same amount of work in. So you will need to complete quarterly activities. You have a different one each quarter, and they build on each other, and they help you discern what major is a good fit for you. Those activities are what makes the pre-major program so successful. Is it really gets you thinking deeply about your interests, your skills, your values, and how they fit into the different programs here at Seattle University. We want you to take ownership of your time here. You're paying money to get the most you can out of Seattle University. So if you're struggling or you're feeling unsure about something, talk to us about that. Ideally, before you're struggling, before you're having a hard time, or like right when you feel that things are getting a little out of balance for you, that's when you can reach out to us. We are here to help you in any way that we can. You just need to come forward and let us know that you need help. We also ask that you show up for your appointment on time. It's a big thing, especially as we get closer to registration, our calendars fill up. If the no-shows can kind of get, if you no-show can kind of get, can cause some trouble. So we really want you to show up for your appointments. However, we understand life happens. So if you need to reschedule, if you're going to be late or something, just let us know. And then we can work around and see how, if we need to get you rescheduled or something like that, but just let us know. And lastly, let us be an advocate for you. We're here to make sure that you can be successful, that you can take ownership of your time here in whatever that means for you. Whatever way we can help you be successful, we're here to help you do that. So now I will turn it back over to Natasha.
Okay, so this is a visual to help you understand what your first year in pre-major studies will look like. So currently we're in the summer quarter. You're in progress with your advising sessions, and you'll also be completing your course registration sessions as well. During the fall, winter, and spring quarter, you'll notice that you'll have your quarterly advising check-in appointments with us, which are 60 minutes long. And during those advising appointments, we will have you do activities that will be due at the time of the appointment. So those activities that we have you do will help you discern and understand what programs may be of interest to you. Maybe it might actually confirm that a program is indeed the program that you definitely want to continue with. They're meant to help you understand what your options are and hopefully give you an opportunity to discuss with your academic advisor what it is that you'd like to do in terms of your academic, personal, or even professional goals. I will also stipulate that these activities need to be completed in order to be able to register for an upcoming quarter. So it's really important that you are aware of those activities when they come up. You will be sent email notifications to your Seattle U email about those activities and also information on how to book those quarterly advising appointments. I also want to note that in year one of the program, typically students will be anywhere between 0 to 45 credits at that point. Now, going on to your second year. So if in your first year you do end up changing your major to a different program, then you may not be doing this in your second year. But if you do end up staying in pre-major studies for your second year, it is really important to know what exactly that will look like. So you won't necessarily have the quarterly advising check-ins in fall, winter, and spring quarter like you did in your first year. But in your second year, when you're approximately at about 45 to 90 credits, in your fall quarter, there is a recommended advising appointment. I actually really encourage students to book an advising appointment with us, even outside of your quarterly check-in. So that way, if there's any issues or concerns that come up, or if you have any questions, you're also using that opportunity to connect with your pre-major studies advisor for support. In your winter quarter, there will be required group advising sessions, and that's where pre-major studies in collaboration with the other college advising centers like Science and Engineering, Arts and Sciences, the Albert School of Business and Economics, we actually will put together group advising sessions, and that will be an opportunity for you to meet with other academic advisors, learn about their programs, and again, help you with that decision making around what major program is going to be the best one for you. In spring quarter, we also have recommended advising that we have students complete, and depending on availability, we may have group advising sessions then too, to help any students who are still deciding. We're hoping that by the end of or close to the end of your second year that you've decided on a program that you would like to major in. But certainly if you are unsure or if you're really undecided, please continue to reach out to your pre-major studies advisor so that we can help you.
So declaring a major will depend on the major, and the timeline will be different depending on number of credits that you're completing, on how ready you feel. But we find that most students declare once they feel pretty sure that the major is a good fit. Natasha mentioned in the last 2 slides, we do have activities for you to throughout the time that you're working with us to help you navigate and discern if a major will be a good fit. Students also declare once they understand what they value, what their interests are, and how they show up in the major. Students also declare once they have an idea of what they can do with a major. We do have a resource on our page. It's called What Can I Do with This Degree? And it lists careers and paths that students can explore with all majors that are offered at Seattle University. And let's see if I can put that in the chat for you all. So if you have a chance, take a look at that and play around with that. And then students also declare once they know more about the department they're considering, professors, if they've had the chance to work with faculties and have the chance to take classes from professors and majors that they're considering, specifically intro classes. And then the other thing we notice is that students, declare once they understand how to use tools to see progress to graduation. And lastly, students declare once they meet the requirement for the major they are considering. So for academic planning and registration, it's safe to assume you all have had the chance to explore the new student Canvas since you've signed up for this session. We hope that you've had the chance to also look at the course registration 101, which talks about how to use My Seattle U tool. They have videos there. If you have not had the chance to take a look at that, we strongly encourage you to do so this week before registration or before your registration date opens. We also have, on the next, we'll show you how program evaluation looks like, but the page, the model in Canvas should also highlight how program evaluation looks like. We also have a 4-year tool. Thank you, Juliana. We also have a 4-year plan that Natasha just added the link in the chat that you can take a look at, which lays out classes that you'll need to complete for 4 years, depending on the major that you're considering. So this is the program evaluation that we are using as an example. So the student here is a nursing major. And as you can see, it highlights the classes that they have completed. So the solid green is classes that they have successfully completed. And students at Seattle University will have to complete a total of 180 credits. And so that is about 45 credits each year for 4 years, and about 15 credits per quarter. Of course, that would be a little bit different if, depending on transfer credits, if you're bringing in transfer credits, if you have any AP credits that you're bringing into Seattle University, but that will be highlighted on that right side of the screen. And then right below that, you have university core requirements. So university core requirement is list of classes that students will have to take for all majors. So this is pretty consistent. There are some exceptions. Some majors may waive a requirement. For example, for students who are considering nursing, the quantitative reasoning or that number 2 requirement will be waived because they will have to take a math class for that major, as well as the natural science requirement will be waived because nursing students end up taking a lot of science. But it will have list of UCORE classes that you'll have to take. So you have Module 1, and then Module 2 and Module 3. So your first year typically will include classes that are under the category of Module 1. And so the way you will add classes to your schedule right now, and again, that Canvas should have a video about this, but this is just to show you on how you look for a class. So let's say you are looking at University Core 1100. You will type in UCORE 1100, and then you will, once it shows up on that page, you will select full quarter on the left side of the screen. That way you only see full classes. And then you will select view available sections, and it will list all available sections for you. So you will look at the topic, you will look at days and time that is offered. And then once you find a section that is interesting to you, you can add it to your schedule. And you will do the same with the other 2 classes. So you'll typically have about 15 credits for full quarter. And then if we scroll up back to program evaluation, and let's say, so when you log in for your program evaluation, yours will be pre-major studies. And if you wanted to look at what is required for different area of interest, you will click where it says view a different program. And then you will select a major. So we can look at, for example, BA in anthropology. anytime. Sometimes my CROU is fun this way. But once it shows up, you will be able to see what will be required for Model 1, Model 2, and Model 3. So you can then select your classes based on the list of classes that you'll need to complete. And if you have any question about this, I'm available, Carly, Natasha, we're all available. So you're welcome to send us an email to let us know if you have questions about this. We'll give it a couple of seconds and see if it'll show up. Maybe let's see if it's just refreshing the page. Oops. Bachelor of Arts. BA is Bachelor of Arts, and then you'll see BS, Bachelor of Science. So you'll see that. So this is what anthropology looks like. And as you can see, you have the model requirements. So even though the previous student that we looked at was pursuing nursing, you can tell that it also, some of the classes that are completed applies to all the UCOR class with the exception of the creative expression and understanding, so UCOR 1300. So this person will look for UCOR 1300 to find a suitable section that works for them. So, and then we'll see if we can pass it to Carly. And you're welcome to send us a, an email if you have any question about that.
Perfect, Natasha. It looks good. Okay, so we want to spend a little bit of time talking about placement exams. And I'm going to start by talking about the language exams. So for those of you in the virtual room who are leaning more towards like engineering, science, business, you can tune out for a little bit because you don't need to worry about language, but just tune out for a little bit because I'm going to come back to you when we talk about the math placement exam. So for those of you in the room who are thinking about majors in our College of Arts and Social Sciences, so we're talking history, psychology, anthropology, like the last example, any of the art majors, you are required to take a year of a language. And so at SU, we offer Arabic, Chinese, French, Japanese, and Spanish. In terms of registering next week, what we're going to have you do, let's say you took Chinese all through high school and you're pretty fluent in it, like you feel pretty comfortable with Chinese. For what we're going to have you do next week or the week after when you go to register is we're going to have you still just register for Chinese 1, the first one. Then when you get closer to the start of school, there will be things called the language challenge exam. And we're putting some information about that in the chat. And as you can see, they're going to happen a little bit closer to the start of school. So once that happens, let's say you take the Chinese challenge exam and then you actually like place out of, so you say, I already know Chinese 1, but I need to take Chinese 2. You can work with your advisor to make those adjustments to your schedule. The caveat to this, the asterisk part is if you're coming in with some sort of AP credit, some sort of transfer credit, something that's on like a community college transcript, let us know that. And then actually, if you're coming in with any like Running Start credit, any college and the high school credit, when you go to register in the next couple of weeks, it's really important if you bring an unofficial transcript with you, because it will help in the registration process. But if you're bringing in credit, let us know, because that does change how we get you registered for a language. So I'm going to pause there. Any questions about language placement before we go on to math?
I took just normal, like not AP Spanish throughout high school, like
Mhm.
1, 2, and I stopped at my 3rd year. Would I be able to like take the exam? Like, how does that?
Yes, exactly. That's a perfect example. Yes. So when we go to have you, again, when we have you register next week or the week after, whatever time you signed up for, most likely you're just going to register for the Spanish 1, just so that it's on your schedule and you have it planned. Then when we get closer to starting school and they'll release information about how to take the different language exams, you would take it, you get your score pretty quickly, and then you would just take that score to whichever one of us is your advisor and say, okay, I need to update my schedule, either get put into Spanish 2, or you can wait until winter to take Spanish 2 and replace that with a different course.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and then I think I saw questions about language AP score. Yes, I am not sure what AP score it is off the top of my head. Thank you, Natasha. That would waive that. But yes, it does. And thank you for using the word waive. That's the key there. For those of you who don't know what waive means in this context, it means that basically, like Salam was saying, you just don't have to take that class. These challenge exams, these placement exams don't give you credit for them. But it just means you don't have to take that requirement. That requirement is satisfied. Okay, so next we're going to go to math placement exam. And this is where my students in science and engineering and business, we should have you tune back in because this is important to you as well. So everyone should have taken the math placement exam. If you haven't taken the math placement exam yet, I strongly urge you to do it. It's going to be so much easier if you do it before you go to register, either next week or the week after. Can we go to the next page? Thank you. So this is as clear as we could make it, talking about math requirements by school and college. We know this can be a little confusing. So again, this is something we're going to be staying after to answer questions for. So if you're thinking about doing a business major, if you're thinking about doing diagnostic ultrasound, if you're thinking about something in science and engineering, it is most effective and most efficient if you come in at the calculus level. And you'll see that that's where they want you, Albers, the business major, or yes, the business majors, they want you to take one calculus course. Diagnostic ultrasound, actually, they want you to take pre-calculus and trigonometry. And then science and engineering, you got tons of math that you're going to have to take. So it makes it easier if you come in at calculus. It is also doable if you come in at the pre-calculus level. But that's why we want to have you take the math placement exam, because with that, we can get you in the right math class. And we can use your math placement exam for those of you who are maybe also coming in with AP credit for that, transfer credit for that. We can use all that information to make sure that we get you into the right math class. So back to my students in the College of Arts and Sciences. So again, we're talking history, sociology, art. The UCORE 1200 works for most majors. The exception to that is our forensic BS, so Bachelor of Science in Forensic Psychology, and our forensic science majors. Because you have to take so much more science with those, they want you to have a little bit higher math knowledge. So they want you to go into pre-calculus. So I'll relinquish my talking to back to Natasha. But again, we understand that math placement can be a little bit tricky, so we're here to answer any questions for you.
And so if you do have any questions after today's presentation, please feel free to join us on Friday, July 15th, this Friday, from 11 a.m. to 2:00 p.m. Local Seattle time. The Zoom link is available on this slide. Thank you for also sharing that in the chat as well, Juliana. So please let us know if you need any help with understanding what classes to plan for, or trying to figure out how to make sure that your schedule works with whatever commitments you have outside of being a student. So in terms of next steps, so I would definitely say that you want to make sure that you've completed or are working towards completing your registration module in Canvas and that you sign up for your registration session. That is really important. The registration module will clarify even more information, I think, in following up from the information that you've received today about advising. So please make sure that you complete that module in Canvas. It will also help you familiarize yourself with My Seattle U. However, I would strongly encourage you after seeing Salam's demonstration and also with the information that you've received today, plus your Canvas module, that you log into My Seattle U and just take a look at what you have access to, become familiar with where everything is located. That will also help you when it comes to registration as well during your registration session. The other recommendation is also to submit your fall quarter academic plan for your pre-major studies advisor to review. Information about how to submit that academic plan will be shared on your registration module in Canvas. So again, emphasizing the importance of completing that registration module because that will go over a lot of the information that I'm talking about in your next steps. The other item to set up your SU email. So it's really important that you are aware that once you start your classes in September, any sort of correspondence by email, follow-up, any updates, information that's shared with you, that will be done through your Seattle U email. So it's really important that you set it up in a way that works for you. For example, if you're mostly carrying your phone with you, having your email set up on your phone, or just making sure that you have it on your laptop or computer in a way that works best for how you check email, so that way you can stay updated and informed. One other important thing to note is that if you are using Outlook through an internet browser, you do want to make sure that the settings and the layout for the emails is shown as individual messages. It was realized probably about a year or two ago that students were sometimes receiving emails as conversations, so updates and information would sometimes be missed. If you have questions about how to set that up, again, please don't hesitate to reach out to ask me or your pre-major studies advisor. We just want to make sure that you're getting all of the email information you need in a timely manner and that you're staying up to date. In terms of transcripts and scores to admissions, please make sure that you submit that information to the admissions office if you have not done so already, or if you're waiting on any sort of transcripts or scores to be posted, please make sure that you know your deadlines and dates and get that information to the admissions office as soon as possible, ideally before you start classes in September. It is really important that we have that information because it can impact what classes you do end up choosing or planning for fall quarter. As Carly had explained with the math placement exam, for sure, if you have not completed that math placement exam, please make sure that you complete it by next week before your registration sessions begin. Again, that will be really important because that will impact planning of your classes and what classes you could ultimately end up choosing, particularly if you're in a program that does require some sort of math, whether that's calculus, pre-calculus. Just really important to realize the importance of taking that math placement exam. And of course, if you do have any questions, in addition to Zoom, you can always email premajorstudies@seattleu.edu. We want to make sure that you're going through this process, hopefully with not too much anxiety or worry, but with the feeling of support and knowing that you can connect with us if there's anything that we can clarify for you. And on the final slide, we do have a questionnaire that we would like to ask you to fill out. It's very short. We do want to make sure that when we have these advising sessions, that we provide any additional information and update as needed to ensure that students feel, again, that they're getting support in the advising process, and also make sure that if there's anything we can clarify or be more concise about, we do that for those presentations with students in mind. With that being said, that is the end of our presentation.